Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. This time we'll be exploring the story of Buddy, a dog who found peace and happiness living in the forest.
It's a really heartwarming story.
It is. Um, I don't know about you, but I have to admit, the idea of leaving everything behind and going back to nature, finding a simpler life, it's pretty appealing, especially on some days.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That yearning for a more grounded, quiet, simple existence, it
hmm
really resonates with a lot of people. And you know what's really interesting about Buddy's story is it's not just about finding peace in nature, it's about how Buddy actually thrives amidst challenges.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, for example, think about that harsh winter in the story.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we're jumping right into it. I like that. So food is scarce, temperatures are plummeting.
Right.
I mean, most dogs I know would be whining at the back door, wanting to come inside.
Yeah.
What does Buddy do?
He steps up and becomes a leader.
Wow.
He doesn't just, find a cozy little den and wait it out. He proactively gathers his friends, Daisy the deer, Oliver the owl,
Sammy the squirrel.
even Sammy the squirrel, and leads them all on this resourceful search for food.
He's like a survivalist. It makes you think about what we think of as essential for being a good leader, right?
Yeah.
It's not always about being super charismatic or barking orders. It's about being resourceful. I bet there are some CEOs out there who could learn a thing or two from Buddy.
Definitely. And that actually ties into this really interesting research on what's called servant leadership. It's a style of leadership where the focus is on empowering other people and meeting their needs, really serving them. And Buddy embodies this perfectly. He even goes the extra mile and makes these warm nests for all of his friends. It really shows how empathy is just as vital as being practical.
Oh, and get this. The story mentions that even though he's a dog, he accepts acorns as gifts from Sammy the squirrel.
He does.
Yeah, you can't eat those, right? But the fact that he accepts them so graciously, I don't know, it just speaks volumes about Buddy's ability to really appreciate different perspectives and to really value, like, the thought behind a gesture.
That's beautiful. It's really striking that Buddy doesn't try to force his own, dog ways onto the forest. He just embraces the diversity of his friends and all of their unique contributions. It reminds me of something you mentioned in your notes about wanting to build stronger connections at work, actually.
You mean how I was talking about how I feel like I'm always the one who has to try to initiate team outings
Yeah.
or like try to get everybody on the same page?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about maybe trying to apply Buddy's approach to that situation? Maybe instead of trying to fit everybody into some kind of preconceived mold, maybe try to understand and appreciate each of their own unique strengths and think about how those strengths can contribute to the success of the whole team.
Wow, that's a really insightful connection. It's like Buddy is showing me that that being a true leader isn't about forcing everyone to conform. It's about creating a space where everyone feels like they're valued and everyone feels empowered to contribute in their own way.
I think that's right. And that actually leads to another key aspect of Buddy's leadership, which is his ability to foster a strong sense of community. He doesn't just tell his friends what to do. Instead, he really involves them in problem solving and decision making.
Yeah, like when they discover that sparkling stream in a new part of the forest,
Oh, right.
it becomes their favorite hangout spot. They go there to relax and share stories and just like enjoy each other's company. It's like their own little community center.
It is. And there's actually a lot of research that shows that having these kinds of shared spaces, whether it's an actual physical location or just like a shared interest, is crucial for building a sense of community because these spaces provide a sense of belonging, and they foster those casual interactions that help strengthen bonds.
Makes me wonder, if a dog can create this incredible community in the middle of the forest, what's stopping us from doing the same in our own lives?
That's a really good question. And maybe the answer to that is that we need to change our perspective a little bit.
Okay.
Instead of waiting for someone else to create that sense of community for us, maybe we can each be the buddy of our own social circles.
So you're saying that we can all learn from Buddy's example to be more proactive, to reach out to people, to create those shared experiences, and to appreciate each other's unique qualities.
I think so. It's about recognizing that building community is an active process, and it requires effort and empathy and a real willingness to embrace diversity.
This is blowing my mind.
Ew.
I'm seeing Buddy's story in a whole new light now.
And we're really just scratching the surface.
Wow.
There's so much more to unpack here when it comes to Buddy's relationship with nature, his own personal growth, and all of the lessons he can teach us about finding happiness and contentment in a world that can feel really chaotic.
This is why I love these deep dives. It's like we take a seemingly simple story and we uncover all of these hidden layers of meaning. I can't wait to see where we go next with this. But for now, I think we should let all of this sink in for a minute. Okay, so I've been thinking about what you said, about being the buddy of my own social circle.
Yeah,
And it's a really cool idea.
it is.
But it's also a little daunting, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Like, where do I even start?
Well, one thing that really stands out to me in Buddy's story is how in tune he is with nature. Like, he really embraces the changing seasons and finds all this joy in these simple things like those morning walks with Daisy the deer. And he learns to appreciate the beauty of things he can't even eat, like those acorns, you know?
That reminds me of something I was reading in one of my psychology journals about this concept called biophilia. It's this idea that humans have this innate biological need to connect with nature.
Oh, that's interesting. And it makes you wonder if maybe Buddy's sense of peace comes from that, at least in part. That deep connection he has with his environment. He's not just living in the forest, he's living with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe part of being the buddy in my own life is about cultivating that same appreciation for nature. Like, I already love, going on hikes and being outside, but I could definitely be more intentional about it.
And it doesn't have to be these grand expeditions out into the wilderness, even small things like just taking a walk in a park during your lunch break or just noticing the leaves changing on your street. Even that can have a really positive impact on how you feel.
Yeah, that's true. I was reading in your notes that you've been feeling a little bit burnt out lately. Maybe this is something that could help you recharge.
I think it's worth a shot. There's more and more research coming out all the time that shows that even just brief exposure to nature can, reduce stress. It can help you focus better. It can even boost your creativity.
Okay, I'm convinced. Nature walks, here I come. But there's another piece of the puzzle too, right?
Right,
It's
yeah.
not just about connecting with nature.
Mhm.
It's also about connecting with other people. Just like how Buddy forms those really strong bonds with this diverse group of friends.
That's right. And what's so interesting is that those friendships don't just magically appear.
Yeah.
Buddy puts in the effort, you know?
Okay, yeah.
He's open to these new experiences, and he embraces the unique qualities of each of his friends.
It's like he just intuitively understands that diversity really makes a community stronger.
Yeah,
He doesn't just spend time with other dogs.
right.
He welcomes, Daisy the deer, Oliver the owl, Sammy the squirrel, and even Finn the fox. They all bring something different to the group.
Yeah. And that's a really good lesson for us, too.
Right.
When we surround ourselves with people who are just like us, we miss out on all these different perspectives and experiences.
So maybe stepping outside of my comfort zone a little bit more socially is another way that I can be more like Buddy.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I tend to gravitate towards people who have similar interests,
Yeah.
but maybe it's time for me to branch out a little bit.
Maybe so. And, Buddy's story also highlights how important it is to have shared experiences if you want to build stronger connections. Think
Right.
about those winters in the story.
Yeah.
They were tough.
Right.
Yeah, very challenging.
But in a way, those challenges actually brought Buddy and his friends closer together.
You mean how they had to depend on each other to survive? They shared their food, created those warm nests, and really worked together to overcome all those obstacles.
Yeah. They faced those challenges together.
Yeah.
And, the shared challenges, while they were really difficult, they forged this deep sense of camaraderie and resilience. They learned how to really depend on each other and appreciate each other's strengths, and they celebrated their successes together. Yeah, that's a good point. It's let me think about how I can create more shared experiences in my own life. Maybe I could join a volunteer group where we're all working toward a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
Or even something as simple as having a potluck dinner and inviting my friends over where we all, bring something and we could just connect.
Those are great ideas. And, it doesn't have to be some big, grand gesture. Even small acts of kindness, like helping your neighbor carry in their groceries or just offering to listen to a friend who's having a tough time. Things like that can go a long way in building that sense of community.
This is so inspiring. It's like
Yeah.
Buddy's story is giving me this whole new blueprint for living a life that feels more connected and more fulfilling.
And remember, it's not about being exactly like Buddy. It's about taking those main ideas about leadership, community building, and connecting with nature and applying them to your own life and circumstances.
You're right. I don't have to go live in a forest and befriend a squirrel to find my own version of happiness.
Exactly. The beauty of Buddy's story is that it can make us think about ourselves. It's a catalyst to explore our own values and dreams and what we want to achieve in life.
This deep dive is turning out to be so much more than I expected. I'm learning so much, not just about Buddy, but also about myself
That's great.
and the kind of life I want to live.
And there's more.
Oh, wow.
There's one more part of Buddy's story that I think has a really powerful message. And it's actually something you talked about a little bit earlier. It's that feeling of wanting to leave everything behind and embrace a simpler life.
The call of the wild.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've definitely felt that pull many times, especially when work gets really stressful,
Hmm.
or when city life just gets to be too much.
I understand. What if we dig into that a little deeper? What is it about Buddy's simple life that speaks to us so much? And is it really about running away to the woods? Or is it something deeper than that?
Ooh, those are some good questions. I'm definitely intrigued,
Yeah.
but maybe we should take a little break now and think about those for a minute. We'll come back to them in our final segment and see what other insights we can find in Buddy's incredible journey. Okay, so we're back. That I've been thinking about that question you asked about Buddy's peaceful existence and why it resonates so much with us. It's like we all have this deep longing for a simpler life. Like we want to escape all the stress and complexities of modern life.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's interesting to think about that longing in the context of Buddy's story, though, because, he doesn't just wander into the forest and immediately find perfect simplicity and bliss. Remember, he actually faces some pretty tough challenges out there, like those harsh winters and having to constantly adapt to his environment.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
It's like we romanticize this idea of a simple life, but we kind of forget that simplicity doesn't always mean easy. You know what I mean?
Exactly. There are still going to be obstacles and demands no matter where you are, and you
Yeah.
always need to be resilient. I think that's where Buddy's story is so valuable. It's not about escaping challenges altogether. It's more about redefining what it really means to live a fulfilling life.
Hmm.
Buddy doesn't find happiness because he doesn't have any problems. He finds it in his ability to deal with those problems. He's resourceful, he's resilient, and he has this incredible community to support him.
That's such an important point. It's like we're always chasing this idea of effortless happiness,
Yeah.
but we forget that real fulfillment often comes from overcoming challenges and learning and growing from those experiences.
Absolutely. And maybe that's part of the reason why Buddy's story is so powerful. It reminds us that contentment isn't about achieving some perfect state of being. It's about embracing the journey with all its ups and downs and finding meaning and purpose along the way.
It makes me think that maybe that sense of meaning and purpose is even stronger when we feel connected to something bigger than ourselves, like whether it's nature, community, or a combination of both.
I think you're onto something there. Remember how even though Buddy found happiness in the forest, he still missed his village sometimes? It's suggesting that while simplicity and nature are important, there's also a part of us that needs those connections to our past, our roots, the people and places that have shaped us.
That's a great point. It's like we can't just erase our past, and we shouldn't try to. It's more about finding ways to weave all those experiences, the good and the bad, into our lives.
Exactly. And maybe that's the real lesson of Buddy's peaceful life. It's not about finding the perfect escape from the world's complexities. It's about creating a life that feels balanced and authentic and true to yourself. A life where you embrace both the simplicity and the challenges, the times you're alone and the times you're with others, the present moment and the lessons you've learned from your past.
That's so well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what final thoughts would you like to leave our listeners with? What are the key takeaways they can carry with them from Buddy's story?
Well, I would say this. Take some time to think about what really brings you peace, joy, and purpose. What are the things you do, the people you're with, the experiences you have that make you feel most alive and connected? It could be spending time in nature, or building relationships, or working on a passion project, or just enjoying those quiet moments of reflection.
Maybe it's even about finding ways to combine all of those things to create a life that feels balanced, a life that was both simplicity and complexity, time alone and time with others, challenges and contentment.
Exactly. Buddy's story shows us that we all have the power to create our own versions of a peaceful life, one that feels real and meaningful and fulfilling. And that journey, just like Buddy's, is going to have its challenges and rewards, its twists and turns, but ultimately, it's a journey of growth and discovery.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into Buddy's peaceful life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep searching for those moments of joy and wonder that make life so beautiful.